I love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Expert in You podcast. I'm your host, Jan Carden, and today I have a wonderful guest with me. We're quickly becoming friends. I was just on his show yesterday, actually. So Jay Razzouk is with me today, and he is he likes to call himself a recovering lawyer and a legal coach. So Jay, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Ann. So excited to be here.
I am so happy to have you. And I know you have so much to share with my audience, as most of them are entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants. And I love the transition that you have made in your business, and you have a story about why you've done that. And I'm going to let you share that. But thank you so much for what you are doing out there for entrepreneurs to really keep them safe in their business and from legal action. So I appreciate that so much.
It's what gets me excited every morning.
It's fun to get out of bed when you love what you do, right? We had that conversation.
Exactly. You did. It's critical.
So actually, Jay comes from the Fortune 500 world. So he was a corporate attorney, and he talks about he wants to do legal prevention. So Jay, why don't you just give everyone a little bit of your backstory and then how you got into doing what you're doing right now? And I'm going to just sit back and drink my coffee while you talk. How's that?
That'd be great. So I was working with the Fortune 500s, even some of the biggest of the biggest. And I would see them make billion-dollar mistakes, and I would come in and try to fix them. But we always had to do it through the legal system. And I just saw how costly it is to do something in court. Tons of money gets burned, and the lawyers really are the only ones that win. And so I really decided I wanted to put litigators out of business and really wanted to do that.
It? Yes.
And I wanted to do that by working with entrepreneurs early on, when they're still setting up their business, learning how to do things and show them how to do it right so that, you don't even go into court in the first place.
Yeah, I love it. And, one of the things that you said is how costly it is and how, the attorneys and the lawyers are the only ones that make money. And, that's something that people throw around out there, but you're saying it really is the truth. That's really the case.
Sure, the lawyer might be able to get a recovery sometime or, win. But at the end of the day, really, it is they who win. And I feel like when you get into court, the parties have already lost.
Yeah.
It really is. So yeah, like even when it comes to contracts, then my goal is not to have a contract that will win in court. It's the contract that will keep you out of it in the first place.
I love it. So how did you decided you wanted to help entrepreneurs. So talk a little bit about your services and what you actually do in your business now to make that difference.
So realizing that really prevention is a goal here, I noticed there's a lot of limitations even in what I could do as a lawyer and working with coaches. I realized I think a lot of the secrets lie in the coaching industry. Mm-hmm. And my biggest realization I've had is that for most people, the biggest favor I can do for them is to even get them excited to take action to get legal. Mm-hmm. Because so many of us, even I can feel that temptation to kick that can down the road, but to get people to be excited to embrace it today, realizing how much it can help them be a good thing and help them even become the business they want to be. Mm-hmm. That's my goal. That's really what I want to do. If that's one thing people can walk away with, I feel like I've done my job.
Yes, I love it. And the thing is, you're talking about prevention, but really, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, they have so many different ways that they can be legally unprotected, and they're really leaving themselves open for problems. For example, as a business coach, as a business consultant, one of the very first things I did when I came into this space was made sure that I had insurance to cover if something did, if someone did claim I gave them bad advice or whatever. And you try to protect yourself the best way that you can. But I don't think a lot of people really know that there are people out there like yourself who are really specialists in helping them in their business. Coaches, consultants, even proprietary property, even your, what we call your IP, right? Your intellectual property. All of those things are things that you want to protect. Is that correct?
Exactly. And I think a lot of people don't realize that until those things are now at stake, and don't realize, like most of the value in your business lies in your intellectual property, like your brand name, your reputation, and your content that most coaches and consultants these days who are online are making. Like that's a very central part of your business. And then like your client list, you don't want people poaching your clients and or an employee to take them, go and then work for somebody else and take their list with you. You don't want that. So that's very valuable. So just how do you protect all these things? That's where the law comes into play. And so you really want to get to the point where, when you've built your business and you want to retire, you could sell it off to somebody for millions of dollars. That should be the end goal. Or pass it on to your kids and give them a tremendous amount of value. And if we're not being mindful of the law when we're building our business, a lot of value will just slip through the cracks.
Yes, I know. I think that's so valid, and that's so important for people to see. So what are the different ways that you help coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs with protecting them? I know you said you have like a package that has the right forms, the right legal documents, things like that in there. Do you do trademark as well, Jay?
So as an attorney, I do trademarks. I can act kind of like as a general counsel.
Okay.
But then with the legal coaching, what I'm doing is especially focusing on one, educating, providing people with information. But I know entrepreneurs are extremely busy people. We don't have time to sit through workshop after workshop after course after course. So what I do is I take my framework for building better relationships, for actually profiting, boosting your profits, for boosting your brand. The law can do all these things. Put that into a contract. And then you just fill out the contract, you start using it, and it could be your guide. The framework is in there and you just follow it. You don't have to learn things, just follow it. So I love that about the templates.
That's awesome. No, I think that's so great. One of the things too that you talked about protecting content. When you're just putting, I would love for you to talk about this. When you're just putting information out there, say you're posting or you're creating little videos and they're just going up to the public, they're not something that people are paying for. How can you protect that, or can you? Is there something that you can do to protect that?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things. If you have all the right documents in place between contracts, policies, things like that, you could create a whole ecosystem that can maximize your protection. And then that's something I definitely love sharing with people. And some of these things I don't give out publicly just because you wouldn't want necessarily other people knowing it. But those are very important things that I show people how to do.
That's amazing. That's so great for people to know, because I think a lot of people go into this and they don't think about all those little details and all those things that they're out there doing. And, it is an industry where people rip off other people, right? Let's face it, that happens.
Yeah. And it's going to happen. I just know so many coaches where, it just goes beyond belief, where someone will go in, there'll be a client, download everything like the first couple days, say, this is the worst course I've ever had, I want my money back. And then they'll proceed to go set up they'll take the videos, everything, recreate it on some platform, and then charge money for it. So like you, the coach, your face is in those videos, you're speaking, and somebody's making money from your videos.
Wow. Wow. It's crazy that people would have that kind of, I don't know, lack of integrity, I guess is the word,
There's
right?
it's complete lack of integrity. And there's even a black market I've heard where people will download videos and then try to find other people download videos that say like, I'll share with you, Ann Carden's course.
Mm-hmm.
If you share with me, Russell Brunson's course or something like that. So,
Oh, I never thought about that too. So how do you protect that? Because I'm sure that can happen in the digital world for sure. I never gave that any thought. I guess I don't think like a criminal.
I'm glad you don't. These are just stories I hear of people that this has happened to. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the lengths that some people go through to even get into the course, like with phishing schemes, trying to trick customers to give them passwords to then get in and download everything. It's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, it is a good combination of legal. The legal can give you leverage to go after people and do it in court. Sometimes these people are international, though. So you need to be, you need to have good technology, really also to complement what you're doing to further make sure that only people you give access to have access, and maybe you could restrict the ability to download and things like that if you're really, really concerned about these things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I tell a lot of my clients too that a lot of the value you give as a coach, though, is the relationship.
Yes, it's coming
can
from
never
you.
replace you.
Yes,
exactly.
That's right. Yes. I mean, let's face it, there's really nothing new under the sun. Is there anything new under the sun? I mean, we all learned what we learned from multitudes of places, right? And multiple people and all of that. So, but what you're really talking about too is literally going in and just ripping somebody off. And like you said, almost just doing, just copying or even using their stuff and claiming it to be your own. So that is definitely at a different level than just, oh, I learned this from so-and-so over here, and I'm going to put a different spin on it, because at the end of the day, we've all learned things from other people. So
exactly. And actually what you just said there is something that shocks a lot of coaches. They think, oh, well, I come up with some special method, or I have my way of teaching things, but the law doesn't do much to protect underlying ideas.
Right.
Our system is built with the idea that you're going to share ideas. We want everybody to have access to the ideas. So the things that get protected will especially be your expression of them. So if you say them in a video, that video is protected. You write a book, your book is protected. Mm-hmm. But yeah, your underlying concepts are not going to be protected. So that's where a lot of coaches, I think, it is helpful to understand that.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's interesting. No, this is great. So let's talk about what are some things that you want to discuss that people should know, that entrepreneurs should know, coaches, consultants, some of the things that they should be doing for themselves to protect their business. And so just kind of give us some talking points here.
Right. So I have what I call like the 3 biggest costly mistakes that entrepreneurs make. And these are, and if this is on video, I got, a little bit of visuals
I see
there.
That. There we go.
And of course, I should give a little bit of disclaimer that I'm not giving legal advice. I'm not your attorney. Definitely always work with an attorney. You're going to get great one-on-one advice. But the number one legal mistake that really I see a lot of people make is postponing legal. And we talked about it a little bit, but this is really the number one most costly mistake people making, kicking that can. Mm-hmm. And why is that not a good thing? We could talk about it, but I think it's first important to delve into why do we do it? Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting. A lot of coaches, we use this word mindset, and I think it does come back to mindset. There's something that's going on within us, and this is what I want to help people with. This is why I'm also wanting to be more of a coach than a lawyer, because I think I can help you in this. And I think we kick the can down the road because we have 5 false beliefs about legal. Okay. And the first one is, I think a lot of us think we can't afford it. Mm-hmm. Maybe we think we don't need it yet. I'm not big enough yet to worry about these things.
That's a good point right there. A lot of, especially solopreneurs, they think, oh, I haven't done big things yet, so I don't need it. Yeah.
And then I don't have time to do it. I mean, it's true. A lot of us are very busy, but we could make time if we need. Number 4, it will make things worse. You feel like you're in a groove. You have your way of doing things. And if you talk to that lawyer, he's going to say you have to totally change things up and it's going to be bad.
That's interesting.
And then number 5, it's inconsistent with who I am. And I think this is a big one.
Ooh, yes. Let's talk about this. I think you're right. So I think there's 5 reasons we could actually be excited about getting legal today. And these are actually the inverse of what we talked about. Mm-hmm. So we know the first one was I can't afford it. But I really see that when we invest in legal early on, we get 10x savings. If you spend $1,000 today, that will save you $10,000 down the road. It costs so much more to clean up the mess than it does to prevent it. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like cancer. If you prevent the cancer, maybe that will cost you, a certain amount of money. But to then deal with stage 4 is so expensive. It's the same principle with legal. And then I see this all the time too with coaches. I love working with the 7-figure coaches, but some of them have gotten so big so fast and they just want to keep moving, that their problems now are just getting bigger and bigger, and it's harder and harder to manage. If they started dealing with things earlier on, it would have been a lot easier to deal with. And then they also don't want to slow down, as I mentioned. Mm-hmm. Feel like legal's going to get in the way. You get momentum as you're going. It does get harder to keep up then in terms of legal. So again, it's easier to do it early on. You're
kind of bringing up a point too. I think that should give some insight as to, and I know you definitely need to do the prevention and the protection, but you're also giving some insight. Look, if your business is really kind of in hyper growth and you're really running fast, you need this more than ever because you are very susceptible to problems in that kind of a situation. I mean, I've seen it, working with businesses for many, many years. That's where things start kind of falling apart. And that's where you really opened up to have these kinds of legal problems.
I'm so glad you said that because that's so true. And I see these 7-figure coaches, for example, where basically they have a house of cards. They don't realize it.
Yes.
And then just one day they wake up and they have this whole tsunami of legal problems and the business could instantly implode or come very close to it. I've seen this happen multiple times. You can never really deal with legal soon enough.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
But here's another reason why you can get really excited about it, because I really believe legal makes us better in terms of business. And we could talk about that a little bit more, but I really do believe it elevates us. Mm-hmm. It helps us have better relationships. It's a good thing when we use it the right way, which then goes into number 5, which I love to dwell a bit on this, is how really law does or can be in alignment with us. Mm-hmm. Again, what type of person do you want to be? And I love working with the people who are very much heart-based. Mm-hmm. They really do love their customers, want to see the best for them. I know you're that type of person too. That came out so much when you were speaking yesterday, right? You love your customers. You want to see them succeed.
Yes.
When you're doing that, the law really is happy. That's what the law wants to achieve too.
Yeah.
So if you want to dive more into that?
I want to dive into, go back to what was number 4 on the other one, right before alignment. Yes, I want to dive into it makes you and your business better. I see a couple of points here to bring up. First of all, if you're going to be a real business, this is a piece of doing business. It's a fundamental piece of doing business to make sure that you have your ducks in a row legally and to make sure you're protected. But it also, I help people build high-end businesses, right? And so it also makes them look more professional and more high-end. And if they're working with high-end clients, that's expected. It's expected for you to give an agreement. It's expected for you to do things to make it look like you're a real business, you're a real profession, and you're doing things in a legal way. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. You said that so well. And I tell you, one of the best moments I had this year was, we have a minority client who purchased one of our contracts, and we asked her like, hey, how was the experience with it? She wrote back, she said, you know what? I feel like now I'm getting so much more respect in the marketplace that people are taking me seriously.
Yes.
I was like, yes, I love this.
Yes.
Like that, it really does make a big difference. Like, yeah, if your contract looks like garbage, like, yeah, people can tell that you're a newbie, that or you don't take legal seriously.
You don't have one, right?
Yeah, or don't have one. Yeah, it makes a big difference. And for us, we even like taking our contracts to the next level where we treat them, we make them look like your standard terms of service that you will encounter on the major corporations' websites. We're all used to seeing those. When you see something like that, you look at Facebook's terms of service, that's a real company.
Right.
It's legit. So it really does make a big difference. And I actually have, last night I just made this post talk about like the 5 ways that legal helps your business.
Go for it. Let's do it.
And yeah, number 1 is it does help you build better relationships. Like that is the core of legal. Legal is sort of your rules of relationships. And it could be the rules that the government has set. You have to give such a disclosure. You can't steal, all those things. But you also, in your contracts, get to define the rules for your relationship.
I was just going to say, I would like to actually talk about that for just a minute, because when you show up and you are in a sales conversation and then someone wants to buy in there, it's like next steps. If you don't have some way that you're establishing those guidelines and those boundaries, there again, you don't look like a pro. You look like a novice, right? And you also are, once again, are opening yourself up to misunderstandings. And a lot of times legal problems come from misunderstandings and miscommunication. It's not like sometimes people intended to do something that isn't right, but there was a misunderstanding, there was miscommunication. And so when you have legal documents and things like that, it takes all of that away. It's like, well, here it is, right? Is that right?
It sounds like you've been to some of my workshops. Like that's exactly.
Well, you know
right.
what? After let's see, this is my 6th business. I've learned a few things for sure.
It's all about expectations, and that really is it. The law is setting the expectations, and our contracts are setting expectations. And this is where I see also like these big coaches run into major problems where their marketing sets one expectation, their contracts say something different, and then what they deliver could be a third thing, and then you end up with major problems. But if you make sure that what you say, what you promise, and what you deliver are the same, you're going to have happy relationships.
Yes,
people are going
to know what they're buying, and they know what they're buying into, and you know that you're bringing people in with the right expectations. So yes, so valuable. Keep going, Jay. This is great stuff.
So another way legal can really help elevate your brand is, or help you is elevate your brand. And this is one probably a lot of people don't know. And everybody knows, okay, at some point you should get your trademark dealt with. You should register your trademark. And I have people who, let's say they've come up with a name. And it's a very generic name, a very descriptive name. A lot of marketers especially use names like this. And it's just, it is generic. It just looks like it could be any other business. And it's interesting how the law says, yeah, you're going to have a hard time trademarking that. We don't want to give a lot of protection to generic names. The law really encourages us as business people to step up our game, to have a really distinctive trademark, and to really invest in developing customer awareness of us as that business and of that brand. And it's just fun. So then I love working with clients that say to help them come up with that distinctive name. And then it's like a night and day difference to them. They even love their brand and their business even more. They get more excited. It helps them with their identity, helps them with their messaging. So I love that aspect. It's something that probably most people don't think about when they think of legal.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I wouldn't have thought about thinking about legal. I wouldn't have thought about that part of it. So,
So yeah, definitely always early on, even when you're trying to pick a name, consider working with a trademark attorney. It really could pay off. It's better than paying thousands of dollars last minute to redo your name because, either it can't be trademarked or 2, somebody else actually has the name already.
Yeah.
That's another thing that could happen.
I know people, there are a lot of coaches and consultants out there that have, created their names and their brands and things like that. Jay, what can someone expect to pay to trademark their name and do this with an attorney? What are they kind of looking at financially? Because a big piece of what all these things you're talking about, people are like, okay, money, 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 right? So can you speak to that just a little bit?
Great question. So when it comes to trademarks, it's fairly standardized, the pricing. Your average attorney will be somewhere in the ballpark of around $1,500 to $2,000, depending on how much time the attorney will put in advising you. Like for me, I do a lot to try to educate my clients, help them really understand the issues. I do a lot of research to, see who else is using it. Other attorneys might not put that amount of work into it.
Okay.
So but yeah, on average, you're around $1,500 to $2,000 is how you could count on.
Okay. That's really great to know, because I do know, people that are interested in getting a trademark attorney, they do know that they need to do that, but then they just kind of go out there and Google and they don't really know, who to use or where to go. So I love that we're talking about this. And
don't DIY it. DIY. Yeah. Don't do it yourself. I really mean that. When I go and look at all the trademarks, almost every time someone has done it themselves, they mess up or they make a mistake, and then they get a letter from the government. Then they don't know what to do, so then they abandon the mark, and they've wasted all this money,
right, to get it fixed.
Yeah, exactly. And also trademarking I tell people, it's like putting a target on your back, because there's going to be a big announcement to the world that you're registering for that trademark. And if someone else already has that trademark, they could come out of the woodwork. So again, this is where I do a lot of research to see who else is using it to make sure there won't be that problem. And this is what a lot of attorneys would do. Okay, great points and really great information. Yes, that everyone should know. Okay, awesome. Keep going. All right. Legal also helps you scale your business. And so as you're getting to a point where you're trying to grow, you're needing to hire employees and get bigger and bigger and bigger. The law actually encourages you, rewards you, and sometimes requires you to have policies and procedures. And what's great about those is it does help you standardize what you're doing. And when you hire a new employee, it's easier to train them. You have to do it as a business person at some point, or else you are always going to be the choking point. Or you have a job, yes, just an income. Yeah, exactly. So it's really good to, I love how the law encourages that. Number 4, the law also can be that guy for you during difficult times, and your contract also is. And I mentioned that, bad things happen. What do you do? Look at the contract, and it will say, hey, maybe you guys need to negotiate with each other, try to work things out. I think that's like an important principle that should be in a contract. So let it be your guide. What happens if you're a coach and you need to reschedule something? Have it define that, and you just follow what we should do. I have so many people come to me, I don't know what to do. How do I handle this? Again, like a good contract or the law can just tell you this is how you do it. Makes it easy. The last and final thing is it protects your legacy. And this is what, you were talking about earlier, right? About building your business. What's the point of building a business if you would only lose it at the end of the day? That is so much pain. I remember one of these 7-figure coaches who imploded in a day, and just the email back from her saying, it was just so painful what she was going through to just lose that. And I don't want anybody to experience that. That's heartbreaking. Yes. It is so heartbreaking. And it could be preventable if we embrace legal, especially if we go back to number 1, if we're building better relationships. And this is so key. That is so key. I know you and I think when we first got on here to even discuss the podcast, we talked about that. And you said having good relationships with people can eliminate a lot of these issues. Because I have a question too, as a lot of, especially because I work with a lot of business coaches and they're working with clients long-term, what happens if somebody gets at the end of that agreement, and then at the end of that agreement, after they've been with you for 12 months or 18 months, all of a sudden they start singing that they aren't happy? Is there even anything for them to stand on at that point when they could have really probably addressed that early on? Or I'm just kind of curious about that, because I know that's come up with some coaches that I know. Yeah, that's a great question. And I've seen that happen too. I've seen this happens all the time where coaches will invest a ton of effort and value up front, right? Because you want to get those quick wins. I've seen tons of benefits paid for by the coach to help this client succeed. And then, yeah, after all those things have been delivered, then client says, oh, yeah, I want my refund now. That is very common. So what do you do in that? There's kind of two considerations. There is the legal considerations, right? So the law, I think, in general, might be on your side. You know, if you've delivered on what you promised, and you have, and also they have not raised the issue until the very end.
That was kind of my question, you know, that they haven't brought it up or tried to get out of anything, or even brought up that there was a problem or an issue. And that was the reason I asked you the question. I think with most of us, if we had an unhappy client, we would do everything we could to make that right. Right. Or
this is what I love about the law. Yeah. This is what I love about the law is, you know, if let's say the client immediately runs to court, the judge will say, well, when did you tell them about the problems? How much time did you give them to fix it? The judge would be very upset to hear that, you know, they just ran straight there.
Oh, I didn't do anything right. Right. Yeah. Communication. Yeah.
Yeah. No, the law expects that there's going to be communication, that there's going to be efforts to work things out. And lawyers, good lawyers do try to, you know, avoid going straight to court and again, working out these issues before it gets there.
And that's good news for the coaches and for the consultants that they really are putting their heart out there, and they really have a passion and a heart to help people, and they're serving. That's good news for them, to let them know that there is some protection there for you, that people can't just, you know, out of the blue.
That's right. I mean, really, at the end of the day, this is a good segue. I see the law as ultimately trying to get us to love people. Like, they can never make a law that says love people, because love has to be voluntary. But if you are loving people, you have now gone above and beyond. You are above the law in a good way.
I love that, but I never thought of that before. That's interesting. I've never thought about that before. But it makes sense. It makes so much sense. It really is trying to keep things congruent, and, you know, it is trying to keep things kind of on the up and up. And if you do a good job, or you do your very best, you know, you shouldn't have those things. They shouldn't really come back to you if you're doing all the right things. But it's not to say that you can't.
Yeah. As I tell everybody, you know, can you imagine someone even thinking of suing you if you're loving them and you have a good relationship? Like, the thought won't cross their mind. Always, when I read cases, when I help people with disputes, lawyers get involved when that person feels like they've been taken advantage of, when they've not been loved, they've not been appreciated, not been respected. They just deep down feel like something has gone wrong and they're not being treated right. That is when they go and talk to the lawyer. They don't know the laws. They don't know, this code section was violated. They can't read and understand the contract. They don't know for sure there's something broken there. They just deep down know they weren't loved.
Yeah, this is such great information. I'll be honest, I don't think I've really had anyone on my podcast where we've dug into the legal side of it like this. So I'm really enjoying this conversation, because I think this is going to shed so much light to coaches and consultants and entrepreneurs, not just to protect themselves, but also what should be expected of them when they are serving their clients, when they are out there. Hard is not enough, right? You still have to run a good business. You still have to do the right things. And there are people out there that aren't doing the right things. And so I love that we're talking about all this. Keep going.
And this is where I feel like the law is your friend. The law is sort of giving you that incentive to be that heart-based person you want to be.
Yes.
And it will reward you when you're that person.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
That's how I feel about this totally. And I just, the flip side is I feel like the legal profession in general does a bad job understanding this. And it really does pain me where so many times where people will, let's say, retain lawyers, and a lawyer it's not the lawyer's fault. It's the way we're trained, the way we're taught to think. The lawyer wants to be that zealous advocate, right? And will come out so hard and send that really mean, scary letter. And it's almost like basic physics. For every action, there's going to be an equal and opposite reaction. So they come out really mean and hard hitting. And then usually the other person will go hire their own lawyer who will fight back just as hard.
That's where it all starts.
Yeah. And then it drives the parties apart. And then that's how they end up then in the lawsuits, and then the lawyers are winning. It's not that the lawyers necessarily are scheming and know this is how we're going to get rich. They really probably deep down think they're helping their clients. But they are just setting them up for failure and for extreme amount of costs at the end of the day.
However, Jay, that has opened up a whole new industry, which is mediators, right? Mediators, they kind of probably came onto the scene to start. They're that go-between person between people that are fighting. But I don't remember. Maybe, I mean, it's probably been around forever. But it seems like now I know 100 mediators, and I never really knew of them before. But it's like it's opened up this whole new industry, almost like coaching and consulting. So. Is that right?
Yeah. So there really has been a lot of evolution in law to try to deal with, we call it alternative dispute resolution.
Oh, and it has that nice name. Yes.
Yeah, ADR. And so mediation is one aspect of it. And another one would be arbitration. So arbitration is where, you have an arbitrator or maybe three or so. They will decide your fate kind of like a judge or jury would. But these are not a judge, not a jury. You're outside of the court system. The mediator, though, I do like the mediator where they help the parties come to an agreement. But still, most people don't use mediators early on in the dispute. Mediators usually are used after a lawsuit has already been filed. And the judge will say, I order you guys to go try to settle this with a mediator.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow. This has been so valuable and so much great information here. First of all, and one of the things that you have, and I want to talk about this because I think it's a really, really great thing that you're offering, is you actually have a package that people can purchase from you that has contracts and things that they can download and use in their business. Do you want to just hit on that just a little bit, Jay?
Great. Sure. Yes. So definitely have different tiers. Like for coaches just starting off, I have a client agreement package because right at that point, your business is all between you and your clients. And it has things like your community guidelines, things like that you would, a refund policy if you want to give refunds, sort of those core essentials you would need to get off the ground as a coach. And then on the far end of the spectrum, we have what's called the Leaders Legal Suite. And this is for more like your 6-figure, 7-figure coaches who are now really scaling. And now you have more than just your clients you're dealing with. You have independent contractors you're hiring. You have affiliates that you need to have, agreements with. Guest speakers, right? Coming on your podcast, things like that. Maybe you need to have agreements there to be clear on who owns the policy, the content you're making and how can you use it. So this is, and all the things that go on your website. So these are things that we put there in a package. Plus, we have a mastermind where we give legal information, right? Legal coaching. Can't give that one-on-one advice, but I find 80% of what I get asked is the same question.
Or same basic stuff. Yeah.
Why pay a lawyer hourly to get these answers when it can be just provided there? So this is what we have offered. And a way that people can actually find more, we do a workshop regularly called the Leaders Legal Session.
Okay.
If you want to find out more, where we do a deeper dive into, what are the major relationships as a coach or consultant that you might need to think about? And, what are the legal documents you need then to really protect yourself, like the core essential documents. And we talk about some of the major laws, the things that are evolving. And we actually share information. I mentioned this earlier, that you wouldn't want public. You don't want your clients knowing these things. You don't want your independent contractors knowing these things. So we actually put it behind a paywall.
Yes.
So that's the Leaders Legal Session. And actually for your people, though, we are happy. Like your listeners right now, we would be happy to let you, because you're definitely the type of people we're fine knowing this, to get it for free. So you could just message us and we'll be happy to give you the information to a pin to get into there for free.
Awesome. Well, also, you put all those links, I think, with the stuff that you sent me, didn't you, Jay? So we can include those in the show notes so people can access the different things that you're offering, your workshops and all of those things. But Jay is also on LinkedIn. He's on Facebook. He's very, very active. He even has a Facebook group. So any other way that you want people to get hold of you, Jay?
It's kind of as you hinted, like, yeah, I'm on Facebook and like on LinkedIn. It's going to say LegalZoom. I'm on LegalZoom. No, I'm not.
LI.
I'm on LinkedIn, LI. And I'm the only Jay Razzouk as far as I know, so don't have to worry about finding somebody else. Love to message. And as I mentioned, just if you mention your listener of N Carden, we would be happy to hook you up with free access to that Leaders Legal session.
Well, thank you for that. That's wonderful. So, Jay, this has been so awesome. And I just have loved having you on here. And thank you for sharing all of this knowledge and this expertise that you have. And I personally just love the heart that you have to serve and to help people stay out of legal issues. The things that you're providing for entrepreneurs and coaches and consultants out there, I just think it's amazing and it's wonderful. So thank you for what you're doing. I appreciate that so much.
Well, thank you so much. It's what keeps me going. And this is why we get along so well. I love what you're doing, and you're doing the same thing on the coaching end. So
yeah, love it. And great partnerships, right? Great.
Exactly.
So definitely reach out to Jay if you don't have a lot of these things in place. Even if you're new, like he said, it doesn't matter. There's no time like the present. If you're going to be a real business, you need to be established like a real business. That's just the way it needs to be. You can't shortcut things and you can't cut corners. And a lot of entrepreneurs think you can. And that is how they end up with no business, or they end up with a business that's a mess. So you've got to get the basics and the fundamentals in place that you just have to. Just like paying your taxes, you have to do that too. So anyways, Jay, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. And everyone, please reach out to him. And I know that he will have something that will help you. And he's got, he obviously has so many different things and different ways that he can help you. So until next time, everyone, have an amazing day and God bless you. Bye-bye. If you've enjoyed this episode, I want to invite you to go check out a free training that I have at expertinu.us. It is a training that I have on how you can get ultra premium dream clients, scale your business, get more freedom, and really simplify your business and multiply your money. So go check that out. And again, that is expertinu.us. I want to thank you for being here with me this week. I hope you found massive value. Please always leave a comment, feedback, or a question. We check them all. And I want you to go rock your business and make sure you join us again next week. God bless you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.